Here's your wrestling news for March 19th, 2022. And your headlines for today include: Brock Lesnar's Babyface Rampage continues on WWE Smackdown. Are fans still interested in Reigns-Lesnar feud? Scott Hall laid on the floor for days after fall that broke his hip. Who finally took him to hospital? More shocking details emerge after his passing. Breaking news as Cody Rhodes signs contract for WWE return. WWE's current plan for Cody Rhodes, how several WWE wrestlers reacted to Cody's return, and more. Brandi Rhodes training for possible in-ring WWE return. Charlotte Flair's ruthless pursuit against Ronda Rousey continues on SmackDown, and more. We are kicking off today with SmackDown as Brock Lesnar continues to prove that this part of his career is all about character work. After spending much of his career as a silent, stoic monster, often with Paul Heyman speaking for him, Lesnar has been a different man since returning in August 2021 and is now a well-established babyface. On this week's SmackDown, the Beast Incarnate used a forklift to try and brutalize Roman Reigns in the Bloodline and would proceed to rip open the door of a pickup truck before bringing it to the ring. Fans may remember Lesnar ripping the door off a car in 2015 when he feuded with Seth Rollins, and at the time, that was Brock's closest hint of a face turn. In the 10 years since Brock's shocking return to WWE, this is easily the most fans he's been having, and that sentiment is shared with the entire WWE universe. This week's SmackDown was just another sign that Brock is an incredible babyface, and in an era where WWE has struggled to make babyfaces, the fact that they can turn the man who broke The Undertaker's streak and had multiple lengthy reigns as world champion into a fan favorite is commendable. Whether that means Lesnar will leave WrestleMania as the unified WWE Universal Champion remains to be seen, but win or lose, Brock is having a ton of fun on the road to AT&T Stadium. We've got Scott Hall news now as the two-time WWE Hall of Famer died earlier this week after suffering 3 heart attacks. The former Razor Ramon was one of the most beloved pro wrestlers of the 1990s and was an institution of WWE's New Generation era before jumping to WCW to form the New World Order, a faction that would change wrestling forever. Hall's death came this week after he suffered a broken hip in the fall, and it was blood clots during surgery that led to the multiple heart attacks that proved to be too much for him. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer noted that Scott's health had been deteriorating for nearly 2 years, and he had once again relapsed and had been drinking again. Sean Waltman explained that being isolated due to COVID-19 took a toll on Scott, as Meltzer writes, "His closest friends knew this was coming, but it probably made it worse because there was nothing they could do about it." Sean Waltman noted that he called Hall a month ago to come out to stay with him because Hall had been deteriorating for the past 2 years due to drinking. The pandemic did him in. It was hard enough for him as it was, but he was isolated in his house with no social interaction. He was down to 210 pounds. We called Dally and he went over. It was really bad. When Hall fell and broke his hip, he was unable to move and was laying on the ground, unable to get to the phone. He laid there for a few days before friends told Paige to check on him since they couldn't get in contact with him. Paige found him and got him to the hospital. Scott Hall led an incredible life that sadly ended in the most awful of ways, and we hope that the bad guy has finally found peace after a lifetime of difficulties. This has been a difficult time for everyone, especially Hall's family, and Diamond Dallas Page is doing his part to help out. It was Page who helped Hall get his life back on track years ago, welcoming the bad guy into his home and kept working with Scott all the way up until his passing. On social media, DDP shared several photos from a visit with the Hall family after Scott's passing and said they enjoyed an awesome steak dinner and shared stories of the former Intercontinental Champion. Outside of Kevin Nash, DDP was probably the closest friend to Hall throughout his life, and even after his passing, Page is proving to be a great friend to the entire Hall family. Now, as soon as Cody Rhodes and his wife Brandi left AEW, there was talk of a WWE return, with several reports and rumors circulating around the former 3-time TNT champion. Several conflicting reports have been shared about Cody, but we now can confirm that he's coming back to the company he left in 2016. PW Insider has confirmed that Rhodes has signed a new deal with WWE, reporting, "Cody Rhodes is signed with WWE, multiple WWE sources have confirmed. Rhodes inked his deal about 10 to 14 days ago." Pulling in the former AEW Executive Vice President is a monumentous deal for WWE, and if they treat him well, he could be just the first of several AEW stars to consider working for Vince McMahon. We'll have to see what the future holds in this situation, but Cody Rhodes is on his way back to WWE. Cody may have only signed a deal in the past 2 weeks, but rumors of his return have circulated for the past month, with reports that Vince McMahon plans to treat him as a huge deal. It should come as no surprise that WWE has WrestleMania plans for Cody, and we have a better idea as to what the future holds for him. PW Insider reports that the current plan is for Rhodes to make his return during WrestleMania weekend, likely as the mystery opponent of Seth Rollins. As we've detailed in previous videos, Rhodes is still without an opponent for the two-night event and has grown increasingly more desperate to get on the card. The report adds that Rhodes will be a Raw superstar after his Mania debut, an interesting choice given that WWE usually keeps their biggest names on Smackdown. Before signing, it had been reported that WWE was only interested in Cody, not Brandi Rhodes, but that seems to have changed, as it's now rumored that not only will she return and accompany her husband, but she'll also wrestle. Whatever WWE has planned for the duo on Raw, the arrival of the Rhodes is a monumental moment for the company and proves that in an era where AEW continues to grow, WWE still has some major tricks up its sleeves. And we're ending today with more from Smackdown, as WWE are trying all they can to make a good storyline between Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey, but it just doesn't seem to be working. The feud seems to be based on the fact that one has tapped while the other hasn't, which itself has problems, as Rousey has falsely claimed to be the first woman to make the Queen tap out. Ignoring the likes of Asuka and Natalya, who have tapped out Flair before, this episode of SmackDown ended with Rousey going through a table, an impactful spot, but still not enough to add much interest to the feud. If anything, this spot is telling fans the outcome may not be as obvious as people think, but given that she's only recently returned after over 2 years away, fans remain convinced that Rousey will become champion at WrestleMania. No matter how hard WWE seems to try, the Rousey-Charlotte feud just simply isn't that entertaining, despite the fact that it's a frontrunner to headline WrestleMania Saturday. If so, that's a real shame, as there's plenty of more deserving matches to headline the April 2nd show, including the Raw Women's Championship match between Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. In all honesty, it feels that the Rousey-Flair match will headline for 2 reasons. First, because of the massive stars involved, and second, so that WWE can praise Rousey and Flair as the only 2-time female WrestleMania main eventers. In that case, the outcome of the match is irrelevant to WWE, and whoever stands tall on April 2nd, the women's division of the Blue brand is likely going to be stuck in the same state it is right now. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.